And we're back with the Jesse LaSala show. I'm joined today by Ferguson, old
Thank you
homie
kindly, sir.
from back in the day, Lafayette High School represent.
For life.
And
Dude, I'm fitting in some Lafayette High polo shirts that weren't even mine. They were my parents. Dude,
damn,
it's awesome. I got all the street cred. I'm holding my letter jacket down. I dropped it on Facebook. What's up? Representing my colors, my leathers.
dude, I still have my Letterman jacket, and I got that over. Remember they had like rings or some
I did the
shit?
same thing, man. A jacket was worth something to me. A ring was a whatever.
Fucking bullshit. Like, what the fuck? So I wore my Letterman jacket in New York, and it was just like the most random shit, but it was the warmest shit I could wear. It was like 34 degrees, and I was like rocking my Lafayette High Letterman jacket. And I was like, yes, dude.
Jesse, were you '03 or '04?
Oh, two.
'02. Okay. All right.
I left after my junior year,
Okay.
and I went straight to college.
Yeah, I remember you and a number of the squad managed to jump right into enjoying life uh right there at the end of high school and did it big.
Dude, I could have passed the GED in ninth grade.
Yeah.
Like it was fucking retarded. So, I mean, it was fun. It was great
Again, dude,
opportunity.
check this out, Jesse. High school was retarding
Yeah,
for some people,
yeah.
right? It slowed people down and it gave
That
some
is a
people
very good point.
a
Very good point.
platform. Yeah. Well, dude, junior year, Miss Gary Aycock was my
Oh,
was my AP English teacher, right? Dude, check this out. You might feel a kind of way or have some kind of stories, right? But
yeah, I
dude,
fucked
that
her. I
lady
fucked her.
was dude, me too. Uh anyway, no, that's actually not true, Gary. Wherever you're at, peace, love, and chicken grease in the Middle East, at least I hope. Um, but she put me on writing, bruh. She put me on writing big time. And then I that's where I got my first dose of like consciousness discussion and spirituality and shamanic XYZ, Hindu stuff, whatever. Then Jennifer Anderson just straight up stomped on my accelerator for how well I was going to write, not how well I could. She decided with and for me how well I was going to write.
Let's just
By the time I got to,
let's calm down. Not Jennifer Aniston.
yeah, that's the one.
So the one that is an actress.
Oh no, Jennifer Anderson. I'm sorry. Anderson. Uh yeah, so those two people catapulted my linguistic ability. And so for me, high school was a straight up acceleration, right? Only in that area and in like band and leadership. A lot of the other stuff about high school was completely retarding.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just a lot of like algebra. You'll need this in the future, but you won't because what the fuck are we doing here? Unless you're gonna be a doctor or a scientist or a physicist, like I just remember going to algebra three and I was just basically a stand-up comedian the entire time. Like like everyone would wait for me to walk in and it was Miss Allen and she was like this fat, just hated her life woman.
I know the
And
type, dude. I was 355 down to 222. We'll talk about that.
Fucking right. But not to shame fat, but she was just like such
She
in
was
a
hurting,
mood.
dude.
She was
She
in
was
a
hurt.
mood at all times. Like just like hated everything that she was doing. And I was a little prick and I just wanted
Yeah.
I wanted to get laughs, you know. And I had a crush on Katie Dupree, who
Oh
was
no. Oh, I know Katie Dupree.
dude, she was a, like the hottest cheerleader, and I had no shot with her like whatsoever. But she would always look back at me and like laugh and smile, and I was like, dude, this is like the best day of my life. Like, what the fuck? And then I would bring her
Man,
like,
Jesse Paws killer. Katie Dupree's in my Facebook. I've presented to her a responsible human being. I'll holler at her for it if you want me to. She's a good person. She loves to fish, man. Find out about it.
dude, I'm engaged, happily engaged, but
Good for you, dude. Good for you.
yeah, Katie Dupree was like my high school crush that I was like, I'm never gonna get her, but just the fact that like we would pass each other in the halls and she would like smile at me, like
You were cooked.
I
You were
would go
cooked.
jack off in the bathroom, like what the fuck? I mean,
Dude.
not really, but it was like the equivalent.
Yeah, you
So
needed a minute anyway, whatever that minute was. That's your fucking business. But
shout out
yeah.
to Katie Dupree.
Respectfully, Katie Dupree. I'm glad you're doing well from what Facebook shows and you're fishing.
Yeah,
Enjoy,
you're
friend.
killing it. You're killing it. All right,
Yeah.
I have some stupid fucking questions for you.
Go ahead, hit me.
What was your AOL IM name when you were chatting online?
America Online hit me at about fifth grade.
Okay.
And I came home one day and my mom was like, something, something, something. I'm so burnt out. So I did burnout 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Wow.
as a fifth grader, right? So burnout 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 followed me all the way through the life of America Online. Uh,
Damn.
yeah, that was wild, man. I still remember a couple of those names from back in the day, but yeah, I was feeling burnout in fifth grade when I was setting up my first instant messenger for the internet, which was a brand new thing.
Do you remember how that door shutting sound felt?
I
Tickle.
don't I don't remember exactly, but
I
every time
guess
I
I got them a lot more than you did, but it was just like, tickle. It
well,
was just
dude,
like,
old school internet is what the world needs right now, dude, because you had to have patience for that motherfucker.
yeah.
Because if you were getting home from high school after hanging out with some cheerleader that you're interested in, bruh, it took forever for a single JPEG to go line by line. And hearing the dial-up portion was like this weird, yeah, this weird satisfaction between knowing like, dude, I could get guitar tabs, I could get like Sports Illustrated shit without my parents getting tripped out, whatever. But then it took fucking forever. I was like, oh yeah, this sound is awesome. But then by the like 2 weeks in, you're like, oh my God, the fuck, come on already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
28K
Yeah.
or 56K.
It
Like,
takes like 30 minutes for one image, and you're like, fuck this image. I don't even like this image. It's just
right.
Britney Spears with cleavage. And you're like, all right, I guess I'll jack off to this, whatever.
Well, but that dude, that's where the patience comes in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs patience today because we've got TikTok and all the coolest point and click instant gratification bullshit. But man, when you were thinking about a thing, whether it was a song or some art or a hot cheerleader or whatever, you had to invest in whatever that direction was you went on the internet.
Yeah.
It was not an instant thing, but you could get almost anything, right?
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah. It was a revolutionary time in that we had never seen anything like that. And even with the wait, it was still worth it, you know? Like it was like, all right, I'll wait 30 minutes for this picture to fucking print. And I
Or
have to
dude,
hope that my dad doesn't come downstairs and see me like, at the family computer.
or dude, how about some of those funny ones that they had a little script that would turn your volume all the fuck the way up. Uh so
Oh,
like you'd be like chilling there and you click on a thing and it's a picture and like 20 seconds later it's like, hey everybody, we're looking at porn in here.
yeah, or it's like, oh, oh, oh,
Ah,
oh.
ah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
nothing, nothing, no.
Click, 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 nothing to see here. You're reaching for that volume knob. But yeah,
Um,
no, go ahead. Next up, hit me.
which one do you use more? PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, or Cash App?
Recently, Venmo for ease of access. Absolutely the smoothest of all the platforms. I've used them all, but Venmo is my jam.
Yeah, Venmo is top notch. Um, what is your pillow situation?
Oh, excellent question. 800 thread count sheets, cotton. My
Okay.
pillow situation is quite beautiful in that I've got the flexibility to sleep with four pillows, two pillows, or one pillow, just as I please. And I like uh, a pillow that gives good airflow and space between me and that pillow if I want it. In the coolest metaphorical way,
Do you
I quite like
use
to choose one pillow.
like a leg pillow?
I needed to at one point in the past when I was remarkably overweight, right? My hips hurt, man, as if I were walking around 9 months pregnant for years of my life.
So I do two pillows. I have one, and then I have one folded up behind my head, and then I do one between my legs, and then I hold my own hands as I sleep,
Mhm.
like
Dude,
a
my
like a
sleep,
child.
dude, I look weird when I sleep now. I used to be like exclusively a left side sleeper, but my my best position I sleep now on is on my back. I used to have sleep apnea and type 2 narcolepsy and all kinds of like ADHD related neurological problems associated with my obesity. But when I lost a whole bunch of weight, I was able to sleep on my back comfortably. Well, the only thing about that is I like to sleep with my hands kind of clasped like this, like on my stomach, but like my elbows don't quite go all the way to the bed. So that's where my second and third pillows come in. I have one just behind my head, and then my elbows rest on two pillows flanking either
Okay,
side of
I like
me,
that. I like that.
with my legs crossed at the ankles and my hands crossed like that. And I wake up like 4.5 hours later, just in that position, comfortable as shit.
Fucking right. Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
I did. And I remember the very last time they were a part of my life.
Oh, you had multiple.
Well, I say they, it was an individual, but it
Oh,
was
okay.
not uh
Oh, you should.
it was
You're going gender neutral.
no,
It
no.
was
Actually,
they.
my imaginary friend was an animal. Uh
Oh, okay.
and I'm gonna fuck you up, dude. Check this out, Jesse. Hold on. All right.
Oh shit. Oh, here we go. What the fuck?
All right. I'll tell you before I show you this. My imaginary friend was like a tortoise or a turtle type deal. My uncle used to bring me turtles and tortoises, box turtles crossing the road.
Fucking
And
right.
so, whatever my imagination put together as a very young kid, my imaginary friend was a turtle. And the last time I saw my turtle, I was at Butterfly's daycare, right there by Lafayette High.
I know right where that is.
And there was a sandbox and a sink in the kids' play area. And I'm playing with my imaginary friend Turtle, right? I'm about 3 years old. And Mark Reinberger, if anybody knows where Mark Reinberger is, love that dude. Anyway, I'm playing with my imaginary turtle in the sand, and somebody's like, "There's no turtle," and I'm like, "Well, no fucking shit, it's imaginary." But then, but then when I looked back, Jesse, my imaginary turtle that I could see was gone, dude. And that was the last time they
Fuck.
were there. But check this out. As a grown human male adult that has done some shadow work to find out that 3 year old imaginary friend going missing, I can make choices in my life with like where I live, who I do things with, and what kind of animals I raise. And dude,
Yo, what's up?
all right, so the camera doesn't want to give me a good picture
No,
of
dude,
these guys.
I see. They are real though. No,
These
no,
guys are
no.
absolutely real. 100% real. They're moving
Holy
right now,
shit.
just very slowly.
Those some tortoises, right?
Correct. One is an African sulcata, this light colored one right here. It's a grassland tortoise native to Africa. And then this is an Indian leopard tortoise, also a grassland tortoise.
Well,
Hey,
now I have to one up you.
talk to me, King.
So
Hang on, get back.
this is my Australian tree frog,
Oh man, what a gangster.
Dobbs, and he is a fucking cannibal because I had to get a whole new cage for him because he was eating all the other frogs and lizards in the tank. So now he's been sequestered to his own tank
Uh-huh.
because he's so fucking beastly. But then
I love it.
in the other tank, I have three tree frogs, Romeo, Chromeo, and Bromeo. They're all little tiny dudes, like pinky size. And then I have Calvin and Hobbes. They're they're like lizards, but they look like snakes. They're
Kind
just
of like a
like,
skink type deal.
yeah, skinks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
And then we got
Dude, I
Connie.
gotta pause you for a second on these names, right? My two tortoises over here, they actually have two names apiece. One is a private name I don't share with anybody. That's personal
A
to me.
government name?
Yeah, government name. But then the other one is Tibbleton Mercutio. So
Okay.
you just hit on Romeo. What were the three? Romeo what?
Romeo, Chromeo, and Bromeo.
Romeo, Chromeo, Bromeo. I like it. Well, these guys, Tybalt to Mercutio, dude, I'm a Shakespeare. I love it, right? Uh, and then you dropped in these Calvin and Hobbes references, dude. I have been fucking on Calvin and Hobbes like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm doing coke dipped in bleach. Okay, since I was in fourth grade.
Dude, I
Calvin
have
Hobbes
every
is the
single book.
funniest shit that exists.
I have every single book they've ever had. Like book fair. Remember book fairs? Like
Mhm.
dude,
All my
all
money on
my
the book
money
fair.
went to fucking Calvin and Hobbes, dude. It was all like, and at the time I didn't really understand the brilliance of it, but now that I look back, I'm like, damn, like that was some deep shit. Like some of it was kind of stupid, just with like, him hitting her with the fucking snowball.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of metaphors that now that you look back on it, it's like, damn, dude, like Bill Watterson was cooking.
He was, dude, cooking with gas, killer. So I want to give you a story about Calvin and Hobbes for the show. All right. I'm in fourth grade, rolling at Woodvale Elementary, holding it down as a fourth grader does. And my teacher is a lady named Cindy Roth. And I had a
Oh, I remember
student
Miss
teacher.
Roth.
Yeah. And I had a student teacher at the time named Audrey Sandoval that became an Audrey Kramer.
I remember Sandoval.
Right. So I'm in this fourth grade class. And I had this problem where I finished my shit like as quickly as I could so I could whip that Calvin and Hobbes book out. So I'm there. Everybody else is doing their fucking whatever. I don't give two shits. I'm reading and I get disruptive to the class because I'm laughing too hard. Right? I can't keep my shit together. Cannot fail in every way. And so I start laughing, losing my shit. And Miss Roth comes over and she's like, you can't do this. There's other kids learning, whatever. And I'm like, but this is so funny. You just can't. And she's like,
Yeah.
well, what is so funny? Right. And she knew she was gonna discredit some shit. Bruh, the one I was laughing at, Calvin got an A plus or an A on a paper. I know you've seen it. If you read the
Oh yeah.
books, you know the clip, you know the line, and he's bummed as fuck. And Hobbs is like, what's wrong? He's like, dude, if everybody knows I can make A's, they're going to expect that from me. And dude, dude, I am fucking the fuck dying as a
Miss
fourth
Roth is
grade.
pissed.
Dude, I'm laughing so hard. I'm next to a girl named Camille that like forever I had a huge crush on, right?
That was
Like she
that
was just
Valenzuela? Camille
that
Valenzuela.
dude. Say again, that was fourth grade for me. So that was like 2 years after your fourth grade.
Okay, okay. Camille, still a hot name.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I had this, crush on her, but I'm laughing, and that was so stupid. I was a fourth grader, but I'm laughing so hard I can't control my shit. I even farted, dude. Like, how embarrassing is a fourth grader next to the girl that you just like think is the best thing ever?
Dude, it's
That
happened to
was
all
so.
of us.
Oh man, it was so funny. But Miss Roth came over and she found out why I was laughing. When she knew as a fourth grader, I figured out it was all about perception. She was pissed that I was not playing the fucking game, but she was also happy for me, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah. So
she
like,
was like, I can trust this guy. Like, he's not gonna be a problem. Because I've been in many classrooms, like on teaching levels. I had to like teach like Down syndrome kids and
Mhm.
like be their like sidekick basically. And it was an easy job, but also was like kind of like painful to take home with me because I was like, like I care so much about them and I'm not getting paid enough for this shit, you know? But there were times where they would genuinely crack me up because they would say some off shit, like random shit, and just be like, and I'd be like, yo, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard. Like,
Dude, I have never heard better mic drop moments from anyone other than those with like intellectual learning challenges,
exactly.
or quite specifically antisocial tendencies and elements of autism, right?
Right.
Spectrum disorders. Bruh, the matter of factness, the matter of authentic
And also
presentation,
on point, like just like
irrefutable.
yeah. And it's just like Triceratops. Boom. It's like
Like,
what?
we're done here. Who can follow that, King? Or, Queen,
Yeah.
who?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I check this out. In my career, one of the companies that I worked with specialized in providing jobs for people with disabilities, right? And I worked with some amazing people at this company. And one of their our technicians, I'm not going to say very much about him, but he had a spectrum. He was on the spectrum, and his presentation was that of like very strong social isolation. Uh, but it's not that he didn't want to be around people or whatever. He just didn't know how to like talk and hang out, whatever, because he was just a unique person. But that dude, he was the king of what you and I are talking about right now. Would, you know, talk and play games and stuff, but he would just put things on you so matter of fact that you're just like, well, shit, like, how am I going to work the rest of the day?
Right, right, right.
Like, and this dude's like whistling back off to clock back in his shit, right? And I'm just like destroyed at the break table. Not only did he beat the shit out of me at whatever the game was, but he just like dropped some super casual, like, oh yeah, chew on this nugget, bitch.
Yeah, it's almost like unintentional comedy where it's like you should be a comedian, but you're kind of retarded, but also you're a genius. Like,
Absolutely. And my mom worked with a dude like 30 years ago named Warren McCombs. And Warren was on the spectrum, but he was an advanced news writer, like editor in the newspaper business, layouts, editing, printing, all that stuff. And this dude was so fucking sharp and so fast and so cold. This he was like a samurai sword. Uh, and the only way you knew he liked you is if he wasn't using that motherfucker on you. So that was my
that's
mom's homeboy, right? And
yeah,
so he lived not far from us. He was an older single dude, highly on the spectrum. And his deal was he would go like kick it at the casino and hit some slots or whatever. But then he would read and say funny fucking shit all the time. And like, I love that dude.
I just don't understand how, I mean, like someone like Elon Musk can be one of the richest people in the world, do all these drugs, and try to be funny, and he's just like so off the mark on everything. And same with Trump. Like he's a imaginary billionaire.
He's a
He's got
billionaire, Jesse. He's a billionaire
he's
based on unrealized gains in the
right.
form of undeveloped bare property in a swamp.
Yeah. Trust me. I don't he's definitely in debt right now. And how do you run for president? Or I guess the only way, I mean, has there ever been a president that has had to run for president to get out of legal issues? Like that
No,
doesn't,
not in the United States of America, but I quite assure you some shit like that probably went down in Rome
yeah,
or
overseas. Yeah,
XYZ.
yeah, yeah.
whatever, late stage capitalism collapse was occurring at that time in that place, our shit show's not unique, man. This is just a repeated cycle.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. How do the people, the Trumps, the Musks, the this, the that, well, dude, they're all leveraged in some way. Trump is leveraged on the Epstein list, most likely, right? There's a reason the list didn't come out unredacted. He's
Dude,
got to be on there.
he's got a picture with
Musk is
Diddy.
Yeah, and Musk is like singing like a canary, right? About Trump being on the Epstein list and they're breaking up and oh, it's really great spectacle, right? Well, that's what all of this is. The whole thing is spectacle every way you slice it. And the funniest part is everyone's like, "Oh, there's the Illuminati and there's the this and there's the that." Dude, the number of people actually orchestrating stuff is very few. They just put a shit idea out there and somebody grabs onto it and then they start cutting the government up with a chainsaw because somebody thought it was a good idea that like reads the same book. Or no, get this, they say they read the same book,
Right, right.
and none of them ever read it. And if one of those people pulled that book out and tried to weaponize some scripture on me, I could fillet their scripture, turn it back around on them, and help them figure out how to be better versions of what they the fuck want to be.
All right. So, as someone who has, I would say, 40 books that I've ordered, paid for, and are sitting over there, and I've read none of them. How many books have you read in the past? I'll give you 3 months.
Whole books,
Yeah, like front to back.
zero.
And this isn't a fucking dick swing contest. Like,
Oh,
this
no,
is
no, no,
like,
no, no. My problem is attention span.
yeah,
I know that is a capital problem, all caps for me, right? But the thing is, I can overcome that attention span problem by like, I don't know, doing things like reading summaries or like really detailed Cliffs notes or picking the book up and looking at the chapters in it, right? I read a lot of nonfiction if I'm gonna read something. I'll pick out what I want. I'll go and find that, and I just will not fuck with the whole rest of that book the rest of my life.
right, right, right,
And I
right.
got I got tons of books that are either half read or like a chapter read or whatever I wanted from it. And I can always go back. But that's the beauty part, Jesse, because my whole life people looked at me and were like, oh, you're undisciplined because you only read half the book and then you fucking whatever. No, check this, king, queen. I distilled the essence of this book. I felt this book in a way that made me resonate with Holden Caulfield as Catcher in the Rye when all these other motherfuckers are fucking phonies out here, right? They're bullshitting themselves. But then I also resonated with the fact that Holden Caulfield himself was a bullshitter, bullshitting himself. And he was strung between this cognitive dissonance between hating all these other people, lying to themselves and hating himself. Dude, that's a beautiful thing to understand in a literary perspective, right? Kill,
My
right?
thing
Cognitive
is,
dissonance.
I am a podcast fiend. Like, whether it's comedy, sports, or just random, like, just history, like just something to get me going, you know? Most of the time, it's sports from like August to June. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's other podcasts where it's like, I want to hear Joe Rogan and three of his jackass friends just talk about some bullshit, and just laugh my ass off.
Dude,
Or,
Joey Diaz, get out of here, dude.
yeah,
Joey, bruh,
hey,
I
get the fuck
die
out of
when I
here.
hear that
I'll
dude.
fuck you up right.
Oh, when he's talking to dude, and he's so raunchy, right? Like he does own the fact that he had behavior that was like just not right,
I'll
right?
suck that woman's tits off right now.
Right. Or like dude, he has one where he does this deal where he just like walks up to a woman in a bar and was like, hey, I'm offering oral sex right now with all the cocaine that you want, and nobody's going to own anybody. So we're going to get this uterus done or what? Man, that's fucking crazy. And but the thing is, one of the things I like about Joey and some of those other guys, and even Joe Rogan says this, like, dude, not all men start out as like heroes, right? Saints and all this stuff. You're the hero of your own story. But dude, if you've never had to fall it apart and rebuild it and put yourself back together as a better version of what you started as,
Well, that's the
it's
thing.
no
He went to
story.
prison, dude. Like, you can't replicate that experience and not come out. I mean, you're either gonna come out and be a fucking mess, or you're gonna fucking be a legend. Like
That's the
every
choice.
every comedian respects Joey Diaz. Like, and he's a little corny at times, whatever. Like,
And he's
oh
still fucked up and regressive in some bullshit way
yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm not down with.
he's giving people fucking like 20 milligram gummies and shit, and like, this is the Death Star, you're a pussy if you don't eat this, like,
And then he takes two more hits of ecstasy
yeah,
himself
yeah,
just
yeah,
to ball
yeah.
you up.
But the whole point is you can still be funny and take your experiences and bring them into your act and be a comedian. And that's what I want to be, like,
Mhm.
that's my ultimate dream, is to be a comedian slash musician. But those skills don't pay the bills unless,
Usually.
yeah. And podcasting is just, you know, fuck it. I got a frog. I got a couple lizards. Like, like I'm just fucking around over here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Last night I went
I'm rolling
bowling.
with tortoises, dude. I'm rolling with
Yeah,
tortoises,
dude. Fucking
representative of
right.
my imaginary friends when I was a kid.
Dude, that's my next step. But my fiance is like, yo, we gotta just chill with all the animals here.
Well, dude, my ex-wife, one of the coolest things that she ever said was, and man, super smart lady. Dude, when I met her, I can't remember, we were talking about pets or an animal or something. And she said, "Yeah, I'm pretty much."
Hey, hi, hello. It's the Jesse LaSala Show, episode 79 with Leon Ferguson. Leon, we met in high school while we were doing band shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. We were balls deep in our 14 to 18-year-old era, and it was pretty wild. Especially you were on work crew for band, and I was a section leader for low brass. You were percussion. We had some wild times saying the craziest shit out there on that marching field that, bro, today we'd have been skinned alive for how hilarious that was.
Yeah, a lot of not safe for work sayings, I would say. And
Uh,
I mean, let's just throw her out there. Casey Dunbar's ass was just out of this world, right?
yeah, dude, and I have one for you. Are you quite familiar with this symbology?
Yes,
This,
I've two in
yeah.
the
Oh, as you were.
two in the
Oh,
pink,
Jesse.
one in the stink. Okay, okay.
Yeah, well, you said it, I didn't. However, some element of low brass and percussion, our senior year thought it would be a really cool idea for everybody to throw up the shocker in our showcase photo. I remember Mr. Scotty Walker, who's incoming band director for St. Thomas More.
Shout out to
Respect,
him. Shout out.
yeah, respect on his name, even if some of us called him SW. No, Mr. Walker's the man. But I remember that day in class after showcase where Mr. Walker came out and he put both hands up like this. He's like, does anybody want to tell me what this means?
Wow.
Can somebody tell me how this wound up on our showcase picture? Does anybody really want to talk about that?
Right.
Dude, nobody really wanted to talk about it. But
Dude.
man, that's some of the funniest shit ever.
And then he was like, all right, everybody lay down. We're gonna listen to Sting.
Yeah, Fields of Gold.
We
Uh,
will walk with you when
have your
you're
meditative
running.
moment. Dude,
Dude,
yeah.
I remember crying to that song. Like, I was so hyped. And it was like a fucking like week 3 game against like, I don't know, New Iberia or something. And I was like, dude, we're gonna go out there and fucking kill it at halftime.
And we probably did. We probably did, dude. That marching band was fucking hot, dude.
Yeah,
Like, I've seen some marching bands over the years, like with my friends' kids, and even some of these Texas bands that, like Broken Arrow in Oklahoma and whatever, Keller High School Marching Band. I've seen a lot of performances after high school. Dude, we were the shit.
dude.
That was a good band.
Were you part of the group that went to Carnegie Hall?
No, that would hit me at a weird moment because if I remember right, that was either like my freshman and senior year, and I wasn't in symphonic band yet, freshman
Right.
year. And then when you guys went for Carnegie my senior year, I don't remember what the hang up was. I was playing tuba at that point, but I never personally made it to Carnegie. But dude, I saw all the pictures. That was, dude. And oh man, Carl, our homeboy, had the riz to ask Janet out on the fucking Empire State Building or wherever that was. Dude, you don't get heavier riz than Carl, man. Get out of town.
Yeah.
Get out of here. I think they're
That's
still together.
that's some good shit. Um, I I mean there are so many memories from just nerding out from being in marching band, like where you're like, oh, you made a mistake. Take off your drums, do some push-ups. You know, like, oh, you fucked up the formation, drop, do some
Uh,
push-ups. And then having Scotty Walker call you out and be like, oh, Jesse's leading this formation. God help us. And it's just like, and I'm there with like fucking tenors. I got the 4 drums in front of me, and I'm just like,
Dude, Jesse, what does that rig weigh? All said and done, like sticks, the tenors, the carrier, everything.
dude, if I had to like ballpark it, maybe like 50 pounds,
Okay,
60 pounds, like
it's brutal.
it's not nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Oh
to
no,
take it off and then put it back on and they're like drop again. It's
well,
like what I just did.
dude, I feel you on that percussion, that big instrument problem, because I did my first 2 years on clarinet, right? Real masculine
Oh, the
moments for me.
fact stick. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Real masculine moments for me. But it got me to persevere when other people didn't understand stuff later in life. But when I moved over to tuba, dude, I went from toting around a licorice stick to having to hump this like 20 pound, 25-pound sousaphone up over my shoulder. Well, dude, Mr. Walker, he was always surprised. Not, excuse me, he wasn't often surprised at people, but he was surprised at me because, like, back in high school, I was pretty overweight, dude. Like, I was not a small kid. Well, Mr. Walker was a runner, right? That dude would walk and run
He
and do all of
still
his shit.
runs.
Yeah, he's a fisherman
I
too.
see that motherfucker running across like River Ranch, you know? I'm like,
Yeah.
Walker.
With all due love and respect, motherfucker, Mr. Walker. We love you, man. But here's the thing. He was surprised that I kept up with him on the track at Lafayette High. I'm a quite overweight dude, right? Well, at some point, he's like, man, you got some leadership. You big, you can run. Man, you want to do this Sousaphone tuba thing? I said, shit, yeah. Well, dude, I picked up brass way better than woodwind right away. But just like your quads being 60 fucking pounds, it doesn't matter if it's anything more than a licorice stick, right? It's a huge
Right,
instrument.
right, right.
And so for me, I had to get this like left arm strong thing to where I could pick up the sousaphone at like the center of gravity, lift that bitch up over my right side and drop it on my left shoulder with one hand and one arm because Mr. Walker didn't give me enough time to do the goddamn push-ups I wanted to
Right,
get in.
right.
So like I had to flex and like split ways of doing shit fast to run with this sousaphone. Because he didn't give two shits if you're a clarinet player or
Yeah,
a
you were
sousaphone
learning
player.
on the
You're dropping
job.
when you're dropping.
I get it. And also, what would you be doing with a clarinet at this point in your life? You know?
Bruh, nothing, not a goddamn thing. You know what I got? I got a didgeridoo, right?
There we go.
That's a lot more like playing a tuba than a clarinet.
Get a
Uh,
damn didgeridoo and a rain stick, and you got a fucking gig.
I got both of them bitches, man. I got a didgeridoo in E and a didgeridoo in C and a cool ass rain stick. I love those things.
Fucking right, man. Well, okay, so just a few things that I had written out for you. You got this wild ass beard, right?
Sure.
And I have like, you can see mine. I have to keep it like kind of trim, or else whenever I go to sleep, like it like comes up on my face and it itches me and all that. How do you deal with this? You have like beard oil or what?
Dude, dude, I'm really glad you asked because I've learned a whole lot about just myself and beards because it's different for everybody. But with me, when I lived in Louisiana and when I lived in Texas, no matter what beard style I was rocking, goatee, a high and tight beard, kind of like yours, or a full one like this one, I was never comfortable.
Yeah.
It never got right. The humidity was jacked. You know, if my humidity in my house was too high at night, heat on my pillow would make like moisture and it would get itchy and shit. Well, now that I moved out to Colorado and our like standard humidity is whatever between 20 and 30% or whatever, for me, my skin has just done this like natural stabilization. And
Fucking
so I
right.
don't even put any product.
It's
I
like
wash and
soft.
condition. No, it's totally soft, dude. Like it's not
Dude,
wiry,
I'm
it's
I'm
not
feeling it.
stretchy.
I'm feeling it right now. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Feels nice.
Well, it's one of my favorite things about me, right? Because I've done like many different styles, and this makes me feel my best when I look in the mirror.
Well, you look like a goddamn what do they call them? People that chop down trees.
Oh, lumberjack.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I'm
All
sorry.
right,
It's
Jesse,
it's it's
dude.
it's early in the morning. I'm sorry.
Dude, you hit on a funny one, man. I was a lumberjack for a summer for the National Park Service.
There you go. Nailed it.
But
Nailed
nailed it.
it.
But check this. I was like a three-quarter lumberjack because in my life, a lot of times it looks like I've maybe lacked some discipline here and there. That summer, when I was supposed to roll to go take chainsaw class with the whole National Park Service, I'm like, I'm gonna go record music for 2 weeks,
I
and
like
then
that.
I'll show up to where y'all are at, and I'll just sharpen all your chainsaws and drag the branches, but you motherfuckers can run them bitches. That I don't want
Yeah.
to lose a leg. Fuck
Y'all
that.
y'all take care of
I,
this and I'll come check on y'all. I
all
like
right.
that. I like that.
Yeah, well, and everybody was like, "Oh, I want to cut this. I want to." I'm like, "No, man, I've used one of those before. They fucking suck. I'll help you out. I'll bring your bar oil."
Right.
Uh, and so I let some of these younger, dudes who are all gung ho about cutting shit up, cut shit up, and I just walked around and picked stuff up.
Fucking right. I mean,
Same amount of money, a tenth of the risk.
yeah. I mean, that's where you really have to navigate your pay structure is how much is my asshole going to hurt in the morning over how much am I going to make? Like, let's do the math here.
Well, dude, let's just set up a simple rate, man. As paying to dollars. I
Yeah.
mean, did we call these in industry? They're called KPIs, brother, key performance indicators, or metrics of interest. I quite like interesting metrics of interest. So if I've got an asshole pain to dollars ratio that I apply to your business or you as a human being, and you present as an asshole pain per my time or per my dollars, you can expect a very specific type of interaction from us, and it's not likely going to be interestingly fun for you.
Yeah, like hemorrhoid to dollar. Let's do the math here. Like, what are we talking about? Am I
Or,
gonna
dude, you also get another one, cost per problem, right? You can apply this to homies that are broke all the time. You can apply this to ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-husbands, whatever. I've noted there are a number of people in my life that when the telephone rings, there comes an associated problem and an associated cost. So if I answer the phone for you and I already know you are a cost per problem interjector into my experience, I'm going to answer the phone really politely and just get validated in my expectation and then decide if I'm going to help you.
yeah. And you get so many fucking fraud calls like daily. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure I'm speaking for you and everyone else, where it's just like, oh, you owe this much money to the New Jersey Turnpike. And it's like, I haven't lived in New York in 6 years. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, also, I never drove when I was there. So,
Oh, and yeah, you owe this $6 from New Jersey 6 years ago, but we
yeah.
just cannot fucking file your taxes for you, my friend.
It's like,
You know,
damn, how am I ever gonna come back from this? How will I ever respond from this fucking New Jersey tax?
oh, dude, no,
Ah!
you gotta drop your Tiger King reference. Like, how am I ever gonna financially recover from this?
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Hey, man, I forgot to do a thing. I wanted to ask permission, but I'm gonna throw on a t-shirt from my boy Mitch Daig's band, OTC, over the counter.
Dude, fucking do
Excellent
it.
punk, man. Dude, that's my homie. Mitch is just a killer in all the ways. He's running an awesome uh, health business where he's doing just music on the side with all of his stuff. He's doing personal training for folks, but his band's called OTC, Over the Counter People. Check
Dude,
it out. Mitchell Damage, also MMA, just a killer in every way. Love that dude.
fucking right. And shout out to you for giving a shout out to your boy. Like
Always,
that's what's up.
always.
All
Did
right.
y'all come to Lafayette whenever OTC's got a show? If you're into punk, just hold on to your nuts or your ovaries or whatever it is you're packing.
I'll just hold my girl's tits and be like, this is awesome, right?
Yeah, there will be movement, Jesse. If you're a movement man and you like titties,
I
yeah,
may
respect.
just I'll have sex on the floor, you know? While everybody else is moshing, I'll just be fucking, you know?
Yeah, dude, I respect that authenticity. Check this out, man. There are a couple of women in my life that I would have gone down on in front of Congress if that's what they wanted.
Whoa.
Shit, player, I live it. You live it too. Whether it's on the Florida show or whatever, I don't even care, man. My shit's ratchet.
We're about that life. And you know, we should be president and vice president. We could switch every other week. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you could be top and I could be bottom. It would be awesome. We could just roll out just like that.
Dude, we would just be, like wear different suits. It would be like well, the Jim Carrey movie.
Oh no, I got a great one to add to this. The suits, the mask you're talking about. Is that the movie you're talking?
No, the one with him and Jeff Daniels. Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. But here's the funny thing: you could dress up like me, absent the beard, and like I could do my best to like figure out how to dress up like you with your Packers gear and your sports jam. Because like dude, you've always been about sports. But the thing is, when people come to us and talk to us and ask us for decisions and whatever, we just pretend to be the other person that day.
Yeah, we just wear sunglasses at all times, and we're just
Yeah,
like,
like this pair of glasses says Leon and this pair of glasses says Jesse. And we just straight swap when we feel like, oh, and if you're like burn out on somebody, you just hit me a text. I'll roll up, I'll take your glasses, I'll give you mine and be like, I'm gonna finish this motherfucker off for you.
right, right. Jesse's experiencing some difficulties with the Pacers loss or the Packers loss, and so I'm gonna handle this for him. And then Leon is busy cooking some fucking salmon or whatever.
Oh no, man. Leon's gonna be busy cooking ayahuasca or something fucked up like that to serve to the whole White House. Uh,
Fucking
I
right.
won't I won't dose my whole staff in my
Your
administration.
cabinet.
Yeah, I won't dose my whole cabinet without them knowing that's an unethical thing. But brother, I would leave that shit on percolate, and everybody would have a coffee bar that they could micro to macro dose their way through my White
Right. There
House.
would be like espresso, there'd be like mango juice, and then it'd be like ayahuasca. And it's like,
Right.
dude,
Oh, dude, but hear me out, Jesse. Everybody's so freaked out about psychedelics and people making poor decisions and really putting their life at risk and just not being what the world expects them to be. Brother, if our whole White House was tripping balls right now, we'd be 10 times, fuck that, 100 times better off than the two yahoos that are up there right now.
it's a good
And
point.
goddamn, it would be interesting. And if we had a PR campaign going for this endeavor, man, we could have some of the most gold content to drop on the internet that ever existed. Nobody could hold up to our entertainment value. Nobody.
No, I think anybody that wants to be a president is insane. And to be a president, you should have to do at least a dose of mushrooms,
Oh yeah,
like bare minimum,
fair.
and just be in a fucking room with yourself and like totally take it all in, and then do you still want this job? You
Well,
know?
yeah, dude. And you bring up a really important thing. Anybody that wants to be president is crazy, right? I know that as a fact because in my life, I've seen a whole lot of people that like move between the difference maker or the decision maker position, right? So like in my job, right? I've got a boss that he's like mid to senior leadership, but while he's not a decider for like giant financial items or whatever, that king is a difference maker, right?
Right.
So when you've got someone that wants to be a decider, like a president or whatever, they've got to be vetted with a proven track record of having already been a difference maker, right?
And then how do you get to that point though?
Well, how you get there is different for everyone. But dude, I have never found a more validating tool as a screen out option than psychedelic experience, right? Whether you get that psychedelic experience from a radical deep breathing exercise that you learn from somebody with maybe a Hindu culture, or maybe even like a
A
super
fucking
polar
Dave
Inuit.
Matthews concert.
Yeah, right. Or maybe you get it from Inuits in the northern, in the northern circle or whatever. Or maybe it's ayahuasca, maybe it's Amanita muscaria, maybe it's psilocybin, maybe it's ibogaine, maybe it's XYZ, mescaline, peyote, what have you. But
Ketamine.
if you take a macro dose and you're going for president, and dude, if you can take 5 to 10 dried grams of psilocybin and hold your shit together by yourself without support, without like somebody coddling you, yeah, I'll hang with you
I
through a
trust
4 year
you. I
presidency,
trust you.
right? Ding, ding, motherfucker. Let's put him in the White House. Her in the White House. How about that? Sorry, that goes to
It could be a
everybody.
her, a him, or a they. I don't give a fuck.
Her, him, they. If you got what it takes to sit through 12 to 18 hours of the heaviest psychedelics you can put yourself through, I'm there for that.
And the hardest diarrhea you'll ever experience.
Well, we got to look at things from both sides, right? Because if we're laying down and we're like super progressive, right? All of our bullshit is blowing out our left side or out our ass. But if we're like super conservative, all of our really radical bullshit on the right is keeping us stupid and locked. And when I say stupid and locked, either in progressive mindsets or in conservative mindsets, if you are unwilling to move or wiggle, that is the source of your disillusion.
Yeah,
All there is to it.
I think if you're married to one or the other, you're kind of just stuck. Like being a centrist, as myself, I can see good things on both sides. I can see ridiculous things on both sides. To where there needs to be like not only three parties, like four parties. Like there needs to be
Dude,
like
I'm calling it the purple party, dude. I've had this thought. A lot of people have had this thought. And the way I can equate this kind of in like a medium scope, right, to my career. So, for example, if you look at like your frontline workforce and your senior leadership at some big company X, right? Uh, the people, they got to trust the leadership, and the leadership has to be able to trust that the people are doing what they're supposed to. Nobody is doing that level of trust.
right.
And so, in my experience as an occupational health and safety professional, my biggest value is not chasing people around to make sure they did their checklist or whatever this shit is I'm supposed to do for what my key performance indicators, my data driven decisions and metrics. My value is walking up and talking to a human being and finding out what is going on and what's important to them so that the relationship is established when they do get into a challenging safety situation. They have the psychological safety to say, hey, let me holler at this EHS manager who's not my direct leader and isn't going to throw me under the bus. Because if you got someone in a psychologically unsafe situation where they don't trust their leader, or maybe they don't trust their coworker that they're partnered with, dude, they're going to be in a physical risk environment. And if they've got that psychological risk stacked on top of it, they're going to keep themselves there longer, right? And quite possibly be harmed with that increased duration or that increased exposure, which feeds their risk.
It kind of
If we,
reminds me of
okay.
the rehearsal with Nathan Fielder. I don't know if you've seen season two, but he basically breaks down the relationship between pilots
Hmm.
and like how the senior pilot, gets to do whatever the fuck he wants, and like the sideline pilot is like, I don't know if we should do this, and the senior pilot's like, ah, fuck you, like you know what you're talking about, and then they crash, you know? And
Yeah.
there's multiple instances of where it's just like some dude that's been doing it for fucking 40 years, and then there's like some upcoming person that actually knows a little bit more, and he studies how, like I can't really step into this situation because he's not going to respect me. And even though I know it's a better decision to like circle, you know, it's it's fucked up. I mean, like it really is, and
Well, dude,
it applies to all jobs, not just airlines.
right. So let me add exactly to that, right? So you may have in my industry is facilities operations and maintenance, but I do safety, right? Well, you may have a junior technician that's new to the crew. Maybe they're 20 years younger than the senior tradesman. That technician might notice a hazard in that environment that is worth speaking up for, right? But if your culture is set to where it's keep your mouth shut and do as you're told, and we'll ask you if we want your opinion, people get killed, right? Someone doesn't notice a hazard. And the next thing you know, we got a wet spot where a person was. Dude, that's not what I'm looking for in my industry, right?
Right.
This same thing applies. Me as a safety manager, I'm like the purple, right? Between the red and the blue, whether red is leadership and blue is frontline leaders, or maybe I'm out in the world and I'm purple between a hard red conservative and a hard blue progressive. Uh, dude, you have to be able to observe where people present their own psychological walls, right? When they say, I'm this way because whatever, man, I got to hold my judgment and just find out who I'm working with, right? And so not everybody has the ability to do that. They just can't, especially someone that grew up in a non tolerant household environment. Dude, they will be the first person to light you up for not being as hard blue as they are.
Right, right.
Bruh, get out of here with that. So you got to have this purple perspective where whether maybe you're in between top leadership and frontline workers, you're in between political spectrums. But dude, the one that gangsters me out, the one between Buddhism, shamanism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Dude, holy cow. I never finished reading any one of the primary tenant books of any of those religions or spiritual worldviews, but dude, I see through the legislation, so to speak. Uh, I love it. I integrated everything I ever heard, and it's all the same shit. Uh, it's hilarious. It is hilarious.
My thing is, if you are married to any sort of religion, you're kind of retarded. And I've been
Hold on,
chastised.
Jesse. Jesse,
I've been
hang on.
chastised for using that word,
No,
but
pause. Hold on. I'm going to dig you out of this hole. Wait. The term retard is to slow down or inhibit
musical.
growth, right? Inhibit progress. So if you are stuck on one religion, you are not progressing, right? And so, quite accurately, quite specifically, your spiritual growth or your emotional growth, or guess what? Your ability to process trauma. Everybody's got trauma. If you're stuck on one religion, you are retarding
Yeah.
yourself.
Retardando is what they call it in music. And
Okay. Yeah.
that's what I try to use now. Like, oh, this person's being a retardando because it means to slow down.
Right.
And you don't call, and this is a classic Michael Scott from The Office joke. You don't call a retarded person retarded. You call your friends retarded when they're doing something retarded. right? Like that's does that make sense?
What's Michael's last name's
Michael
in the show?
Scott.
Michael Scott. Yeah, it absolutely makes Michael Scott sense. But dude, I love when I get to use that word for the correct reason. And someone's like, "Oh, I heard a word that I'm gonna feel a kind of way about." And I'm like, actually, no, I'm retarding this conversation for your benefit.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
All right. So if you had to sum up the Israel Palestine, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. How could you best uh, explain it to me?
Man, so I actually did a paper on this in college, which was really cool. And I'll give you a little bit of backside or background. I had a professor at UL Lafayette named Ruth Ann Hughes. Ruth Ann was a gangster.
Yo,
I don't
she
know what
still
she's up to
is.
right now.
She still is.
Oh yeah, I don't. Well, she may have passed. She was where I don't know where she's at, but Ruth Ann was awesome. Well,
No.
when I showed up to Ruth Ann's class the first time, I did a technical writing, um, and then I did or excuse me, it was like technical writing for like manuals and stupid shit. But the second one was technical writing for argument, and it was a winter intersession, and she gave everybody an assignment to go home and research the Israeli Palestinian crisis and come back with a paper arguing for Palestinian suicide bomber attacks against Israel. And the purpose was not to make everyone agree with that, right? The purpose was to get the whole class to just go and research and find a thing out, look at it, right? Half the class had a moral objection and they didn't do the assignment. Well, I did the assignment. And man, I learned just as there are predatory real estate practices and predatory business practices in the United States against marginalized people, the best people at that are also in the Middle East on both sides of the Israeli Palestinian conflict, right? Well, Israel, they've got their motherland or whatever their holy land is, and it's all there right next to the adjacent folks in Gaza. But they establish checkpoints, they establish real estate control, they establish security things to where, dude, there are Palestinian men and women having to walk 8 hours to work and 8 hours back, and they spend their whole 24 hours on their feet trying to survive. And they can only get there through checkpoints that are, guess what? I can't remember the correct term, but they're designed to fatigue and terminate people's ability and will to live. So they'll walk Palestinians up a street, down a street, and up a third street just to make them walk further to get through a checkpoint when they could engineer that better. It's about marginalizing and harming people. Well, Israelis have the ability to do that with their wealth and their might and their military and all that stuff. But Palestinians also have this fuck you, I won't do what you tell me streak to them, right? And so when you get somebody that's been marginalized on the order of like 3, 4, 5 generations now, um, and you've been making them and their parents walk and all this other crazy shit, and everybody's got like bones sticking out of their feet, and kids are getting killed, people reach their limit. And then news outlets in China, Russia, the United States, the UK, everybody spends whatever the thing is for their directive of the moment. It
Exactly.
will never be about solving it. It will always be about perpetuating it. And anybody that's telling you otherwise is bullshitting themselves. And it's been like that for the last 10,000 years.
Yeah, and this has been going on for however many years.
We had
And
books for 5,000 years, but it's been happening longer than books.
yeah, I mean, going back to religion and being married to a certain, you know, ideology of like, oh, this is what I believe, and I'm never gonna fucking back off of this. It just seems, oh, wait, retardando.
Well, also, too, when you adopt an ideology like that so hard, what options does that leave you? Okay. So all of a sudden, you're part of this wonderful community that has all these wonderful words that make you feel a certain kind of way, maybe once or twice a week. Uh, but it comes at the cost of ostracizing other people. If you start weaponizing scripture, oh, that's great that you're born again or you found God or whatever. But maybe if you actually were born again or had found God, you wouldn't be weaponizing scripture on people.
And we're back with the Jesse LaSala show, joined by Leon Ferguson. How say you?
I say, well, is how I'm holding at the moment. Um, I was going to pick up where we were last talking about your collection of pets. When I met my ex-wife, I had quite a number of pets, and she said this funny thing to me in a way that was just hilarious. And it was like, that's cool and all, but I'm kind of at the limit of stuff that's alive that I'm responsible for.
Right.
And dude, that cracked me up in the funniest way. And like I had these pets that were important to me and we had to balance our pet situation, but it was really funny. And so your fiance, I feel that sentiment because like there are some other times in my life when like my shit has been hard, dude. And so the best I could keep up with was one cat, right? It's like all I could pull off. Well, I kind of got to a much better place in my life. And so now I've got my tortoises and my cat and my mom's animals as well. So yeah, just I feel needing to just hold what you got for a minute on your fiance's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we had a fucking damn chameleon, and he was an asshole. And luckily, he fucking offed himself. But we gave him everything. Like we were like, we took him out. We would like give him the best food. We would sprinkle like calcium on his crickets. Like we were like pampering this motherfucker. And
All
then he would
right.
like fucking hiss at us. And he would like turn different colors and be like, ah, I don't like you. And we were like, well, fuck you, bro. Like,
Well, fuck you too, you goddamn chameleon
and then he
ass
just
son of a
fucking died. So, but now we have three cats, two tabbies, one, what is it called? Snowshoe, but she has no tail. And I think she's
I got one with
racist.
no tail. She's a Manx. It's mine's a Manx. It's a genetic thing.
So she hates the female cat, that's the tabby, but she's good with the male tabby. But it all happens when they smell each other's assholes, which
Yeah, this sounds like a complicated throuple, Jesse.
I don't understand.
This sounds quite you know what they need, Jesse? They need some progressive acronyms to help them understand themselves as cats.
They, them,
That's what they
theirs, theirs.
need. No, you know this um I joke about that, but when people define themselves into even a progressive acronym or a conservative acronym, we wind up where we were at earlier in this conversation, stuck. If you pigeonhole yourself into one thing, that's all you'll ever be. But man, I wanted to touch real briefly on personal transformation. We hit on it a couple different times, but I see people in all walks of life as part of my career, right? I do health and safety in a number of different environments where I have to interact with like senior leaders that count beans and I'm just not aligned with in some ways. And then sometimes I have to interact with people on like the front lines that are in a different culture that I'm not aligned with, right? But like everybody's got these themes in their lives where, guess what? They're all suffering something. Even if it's just the false rhythm of being at work at 7 a.m. to 3:30 that's disrupting their natural sleep cycle, they're unconsciously suffering some number of things in their lives. Most people, many, many things. But my biggest opportunity for personal transformation came later in life when I started figuring out that life doesn't have to be a way, right? I was radically overweight and I had support and help from my then wife. She and I started a weight loss where each of us, did a thing with our lifestyle and our diets. And like we really committed to that shit. And we both had success in that, to varying degrees. And then like later in life, when I really started unpacking the requirements of like what a man has to be, like I have to be overweight. No, I don't have to be overweight. Actually, if I just break that one, I have to be overweight, or I have to make X amount of money, or I have to have this picket fence house, or whatever. If you start breaking just a couple of those things, it makes a lot more room for you to be the human being you want to be.
Right.
And so, even though I started my weight loss journey with like some conventional methods, and then I personally chose some medical routes, um, and I had support from a lot of people, I didn't really start losing that weight until my mind changed, that life didn't have to be a way. And I just started feeling better and better. I started being more active and living my life. And then, dude, the next thing I know, I've made this giant weight loss journey. I've made these changes in my career. I had a marriage that I am proud of that, didn't, finish with us together. But dude, personal transformation is available to everyone. And it doesn't come by taking on new conditions. I'm going to be who I always was. Oh, but now I can't eat XYZ and it's going to make me miserable. That is not going to get you there. You got to open up your heart and your mind and say, it doesn't have to be a way. I don't have to live a life of being overweight. I don't have to live a life of only speaking English or only speaking Spanish. Once you get that, it doesn't have to be a way, it just falls into place. From 355 pounds to 222 pounds, holding on the nail. I encourage everybody out there listening. Life doesn't have to be a way. Make it what you want for you and be your most authentic self. And if people can't take it and you're unapologetic for being who you are, let those chips fall. Be you, kings, queens, and theys. Here's to it.
I I fucking like 100% agree with that. And I have somewhat of an eating disorder where, I'll eat like once a day, you know?
Call it
And
an eating difference, Jesse. My eating is fucked up. I mean, fucked up. Call it an eating difference rather than an eating disorder.
so like my fiance, she just goes to McDonald's at least twice a week, you know, and just gets her fries and Coke and you know, it I don't shame her for that. And then when it's dinner time, I'm not hungry, but
Mhm.
she wants to eat at the same time as, you know, couples do, and I'm just like not hungry. But I'll just like sit there and just like fucking like, take a few bites and
Dude, check this out, Jesse. That's a beautiful thing. And this is an opportunity for the two of you to communicate. And I know that because I didn't take those opportunities to communicate in my relationship, in my life, in my marriage. I've learned a whole lot about that. But here's the thing, life doesn't have to be a way. If your metabolism is that of what, you're still 6'4", right?
6'5". How dare you?
God, so, dude, my apologies. All right. So if your metabolism is that of whatever exomorph or whatever 6'5" dude, you're running on your own clock frequency. And that changes depending on what fuel you put in that bitch, right?
Right.
So, like, if you're fueling it with all kinds of great stuff or just whatever you got around, the frequency with which you wanting to eat is going to be different. And so it's only about spending time. It doesn't matter if there's shit going in your mouth or out your asshole if you're sitting next to her. Uh, and so, like, you guys can still have that time. And if she doesn't have an emotional expectation that you have to be eating and like participating in the exact same behavior as she is,
Or at the exact same time kind of
correct,
thing.
right. And like, dude, maybe 3 or 4 nights a week, you guys have the time set for that, whether you eat it or not, or eat at that time or not. But then, dude, you guys both have these flex meals. Like, hey, I'm gonna be, dude, about 1 a.m. I'm gonna be so hungry, I'll eat my own leg off. And dude, you could wake her up and y'all could bounce to IHOP,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So it's like some give and take, but like it's about the quality time and the communication. And if she understands your metabolism is just not hitting on that speed, it doesn't matter. As long as y'all are together loving the shit out of each other, fuck it, fuck the rest, fuck that, fuck them, fuck it all.
Yeah. And I think she's started to understand like, hey, I eat when I want to, and she eats when she wants to, and it doesn't have to be like a fucking romantic, like sit down where we're like, all
Dude,
right, let's just
every
sit.
every every fuel up does not require a lit candle.
Right, right, right. So, I mean, I do drink a lot, and you can probably tell from how I'm talking right now. But it's more
I
like
don't drink enough, Jesse. I don't drink enough.
my my eating pattern is just not aligned with hers, and I think she's, kind of figured that out by now. We've been together for almost 10 years, and it's just something where, I'll always do the cooking. Like I'll cook anything, whatever she wants. But then once I'm done cooking, I don't want to eat
I
because
know,
I'm a
dude. I could
chef.
get that.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a chef. Like once you're done cooking everything, it's like, yeah, I'm not really hungry right now.
All right.
But as long as I'm there, like cooking the Brussels sprouts and the steak or whatever she wants. But it's like once I finish cooking, that's the last thing I want to do is eat.
Hmm.
And I think that's just a byproduct of, working in kitchens and, pushing shit out and, kind of just that's my job. So then whenever
Hmm.
I'm hungry, I'll wake up at like 2 in the morning and be like, dude, I'm fucking starving. Like, I'm just gonna go fucking crush some
A whole
tortilla
can of
chips.
Pringles.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just, and I think she, realizes that now to where that, she doesn't take it personally. It's just more like, I understand that, you know, eating together is like romantic and all that kind of shit, but also I think like the best meals we ever have are when we go to like a fucking shitty Tex-Mex
Yeah.
restaurant and we just go like eat chips and salsa and get quesadillas and margaritas and go to a movie or something, you know?
Dude, I want to give you two cool things on this. One, let's switch gears out of the personal relationships thing and just look at it from an individual level and a health level. Dude, you're into sports, athletics, all that stuff. You've heard all the sports medicine talk about cryotherapy, all these different types of heat therapy, whatever. But intermittent fasting is like you've been hearing that for a hot minute. Well, I never could get with like committing to an ideology of like fasting or whatever. It wasn't until my mind and my heart got healthy that I started to just like want healthier stuff, right?
Right.
And then I went further and further between meals, like at different times over the last, year and a half, to where like I was for sure intermittent fasting for at most I ever went was like 3 days. But like all the health stuff said, hey, this intermittent fasting thing's not a bad thing for you, especially for restarting your immune system or re-kicking your immune system.
Right, right.
Well,
Like,
like everyone's body is different, right? So I actually needed a for real health reboot that required a number of these intermittent fastings, right? But I just ate when I was hungry. And to other people, it looked like, oh, you're not eating enough. You're not eating often enough. I'm concerned about you. But like nobody was willing to say how concerned they were when I was eating 3 plates of food at 355 pounds, right? So it's all about like selective, opinions and what other people think you should be doing. Forget that. Listen to your body. And if you need to be social with somebody while they're eating and like you guys want to have quality time, do that. But like even if it's for folks out there in like industrial environments and you're in these like weird work hours and all this shit, like man, work it out with your supervisor. Somebody say, hey, when I'm ready to eat, that's when I'd like to take my lunch break if we
right.
can do that, instead of just like forcing you to spend your 30 minutes of only quality personal time on a meal you're not ready for, don't want yet because you're not even tired.
And are you a smoker at all?
Yeah. I used to smoke a pack and a half at my most at a couple different times in life, but right now I smoke about 7 cigarettes a day, maybe eight, and about half those motherfuckers go out while I'm talking,
Damn.
right? Dude, I went from like needing a cigarette, dude. I mean, needed it on the hour. Now, man, it might be days between when I pick up my vape device or like buy a pack of cigarettes, or I'll buy a carton and it'll last me a month, like it's crazy. So yeah,
Yeah,
I do smoke tobacco. I love it, man. It's
yo,
delicious. But yeah, for sure. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's gonna kill you." No, a car wreck's gonna kill me. No, some dude at a bar with something really sharp's gonna kill me. No, it's not gonna be these cigarettes or whatever, in my experience, because dude, I've seen it. I know how the cancer works, all that stuff. I know the numbers. I know my statistics are high and all that stuff. Just in my life, I don't feel like cigarettes are gonna be the thing. I think
yeah.
it's gonna be something different.
I've
And
I've
I'm not
I've
gonna limit myself.
I've seen so many old ass bitches who live to be like 95 and they smoke every fucking day. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, and they live in River Ranch and they drink limoncello, right? They sit on their back porch in River Ranch and drink limoncello, and by about 4 in the afternoon, they're putting a little more tequila and Everclear down the side. Dude, some of these old ladies party hard, man. Dude, I was doing a renovation job and running some electrical with a guy. Shout out to him, but my buddy Chris. We install an outlet with a GFCI in this bathroom. And this lady's like, "Do you boys want something cool to drink?" And it's like 11 in the morning. Okay. And we're in Bendel Gardens, right? Bro, you see this coffee cup right here?
Yeah, yeah.
This is a big coffee cup. This woman pours herself a half of a gigantic coffee cup that's clear, of a chartreuse yellow, bright, like it might as well have been some Elvis shit from Lord of the Rings.
Right, right.
And she's like, "Do you boys want some limoncello?" And I was like, ma'am, we got jobs we got to go to. She's like, "Well, don't mind me." Uh, and she pours herself this big ass glass, and she is partying before noon on a Thursday. And she was in her 80s.
Yeah. It's
Queen.
it's all just like whatever your fucking genetics are, like that's gonna determine your outcome. And I mean, you can be the healthiest person in the world and still fucking die at 60, or
Dude, we have got to go on a deep dive on health, Jesse, because I have figured out some things in my subjective experience that directly correlate to how I manage my blood pressure, right? And I'm willing to share it with anybody that wants to know. It's subjective to me, not medical advice, but some shit that worked. Again, 355 to 222, my blood pressure is perfect. I want to go deep on health with you on the next one. I know we're kind of wrapping up for this one, but dude, yeah, let's do that.
dude, absolutely. I mean, anything I can learn from you. I mean, I'm 6'5", 180, and but I have a beer gut, you know? Like that's where
Call it
my
Buddha belly.
yeah,
Call it a Buddha belly.
I'll take
Or
it.
somebody really funny called it a Cinderella belly one time.
I'll take it.
Uh, it turns into at midnight.
Perfect. Fucking perfect. I mean, it's just the weirdest thing where I can eat one meal a day and then like eat some watermelon in the morning and then not eat anything else the rest of the day. Like it's just fucking weird.
Dude, actually, I'm holding at 222. My go-to per day is at least two eggs in the morning, 3 to 8 feta stuffed olives
Yes,
throughout the
dude.
day, and then as much of a meal as I can eat. And in my personal journey, I did a stomach surgery like 5 years ago, and I only lost like 30 pounds when I did that surgery. Because I was overeating and I was eating in the middle of the night and I was like binge eating for emotional comfort. But now, between two eggs in the morning, about 8 olives stuffed with feta cheese, and as much as I can eat of some healthy, balanced anything for dinner, like light on animal protein. Um yeah, that is perfectly enough to keep me at 222 pounds. Two eggs, 8 olives, and something the size smaller than than you hold in your hand.
Right,
The
right.
human body does not need as much food as everyone thinks it does.
I've heard eating blueberries or frozen blueberries before you go to sleep.
Mm.
And then, yeah, like you said, olives. I do the ones that are stuffed with lemon
Mm.
just because I love it.
I'll try that, man.
And I only drink vodka.
Tequila and vodka myself only. Tequila is a very low toxin alcohol, high grade alcohol, or mezcal, whatever it happens
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah.
And then vodka. And I'm not even really picky as long as it's at least well or maybe a little better, right?
Like four
That's good enough for
times this distilled or whatever. Like
me. Mhm.
I just like I am for sure a drunk. Like I'm not even like I'm never gonna quit drinking
Well, dude,
until
this is oh sorry, go ahead.
and until like something tragic happens and I'm like, oh, I have to go get help. But I'm almost 40 years old and I haven't done anything fucking reckless or killed
Right.
anybody in a car crash or, like I know when to fucking let my fiance drive
Yeah.
or, know when to not drive. Like it's sort of a intuition to where you just know yourself and you just it's like, all right, I've had enough. I need to go to
Mm.
sleep or like I'm not chasing anything, you know?
Right. Well, man, I have a lot of experience with addiction in my entire environment throughout life, right? Other people I knew that had alcohol addiction, drug addiction. My personal addiction was emotional eating and food, right? Like everybody, it's like people laugh and say, oh, you could be addicted to cheeseburgers. Bruh, you can be addicted to the emotional satiation that only food consistently provides
Right.
is what it is. I've battled with my own addiction on food, right? But the thing that I've found most interesting with all these people that I've seen in my life that have, quote, overcome their addictions, right? Not a single one of them bit in and chewed on and truly believed the bullshit that you can't do it without a higher power, right? The 12-step program, what have you. In my personal path, I found inside of me a very much higher power, right? When I took that deep dive and did all that shadow work and whatever you want to call it. So for me, I can say, like, yeah, there might be a higher power. There's a universal consciousness, or insert your syntax here. But the idea that a person can't do it on their own without help from someone else is absolute bullshit. And it's bullshit inside and out. And fuck anybody that says that shit, because everything you need, anybody listening, everything you need is within yourself. And if somebody wants to call it like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever,
Right, right.
let them say what they want to say. But you have the will as a human being to change what you want to change. The happiest people I've seen are not the ones that went stone cold sober for the rest of their lives. They found moderation. They found a loving partner. They found their balance. They found when not to drive. They found a career that offered them the ability to Uber, whatever. These people, yeah, in someone else's definition, they got a problem, right? Maybe they've made questionable decisions in the past. But goddamn, when a person finds their power and is able to find balance in, drinking or smoking weed or whatever it is your thing is, cigarettes, rave festivals, going to EDM or something, do that a couple times a year. Most people can't sustain doing that every weekend,
And that's
right?
it. That's the other part of it is once an addict, you're just gonna find something else to replace what you were doing. And then, like, whenever I went to an AA meeting, it was all motherfuckers just smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. And it was like,
Yeah,
I don't like cigarettes and I don't like coffee. So like
right.
what are we doing here? And then just telling stories about how they fucked up their life. And it's like, okay,
That's for
so
people that might, yeah, they may still be looking backward, but sometimes people have to like chill in a spot where they can look backward for a minute to get to this moment, right? Everyone's in a different spot. And some people are stuck looking at the future that they ain't going to get because they're fucking attached to their past. Um, but this business of replacing one addiction with the other, dude, I didn't get to where I'm at right now with one fell swoop, realizing all my addiction problems were just because I like to eat. No, dude,
right,
there was a
right,
lot
right.
there, right? Um, but my behavior just presented as eating. That just happened to be my path. Well, man, when somebody figures out they have that power inside of them, all bets are off, dude. You can see, you've seen these pictures of like men and women that have been like methed out and their shit's all sunk in and they're
Oh
fucked
yeah,
up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups that are like, hey, can I get a big up for like 2,000 days sober? And like you see the before and after picture, I'm like, yes, king, like own that shit, dude, like live it.
yeah.
So whether it's being overweight and having a cheeseburger addiction or whatever my problems were, or someone else's like alcohol or opiate problems or whatever, dude, change is possible and it doesn't have to come with absolutes. And that is not a popular opinion from a medical professional. Again, I'm not a medical professional. This is not medical advice. Full disclaimer, don't give two shits. I just know what the fuck worked for me.
Hey, look, if it works for you, it can work for pretty much anybody because everyone is fucking different and anyone that tries to tell you that there's a one all fix all, they're bullshitting you, you know? Like it's
One size fits all doesn't.
exactly, exactly. All right, we got fucking 5 minutes left here before they cut us off. Let's do some fun questions.
All right, hit me.
Would you buy a Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle?
Uh, am I smell blind or do I have to smell it?
I mean, just the fact that she marketed that, and I think Sydney Sweeney.
I'll give you a crazy answer. The answer is no,
Okay, yeah,
because I do not pay for a female experience in any way.
yeah,
Uh, I earn that shit with respect and appreciation and dedication that I was not good enough earlier in my life to say such a thing.
right.
So even though Gwyneth Paltrow is marketing that with whatever pheromones she might have collected, dude, no, I don't pay for feminine experience. I earn it.
And then there's fucking Sydney Sweeney with her bath water, and she's marketing that,
Uh,
like, and people are buying it. Like, what the fuck? Like, I I think
perpetuating
I
the
think Sydney
pandemic of
Sweeney,
male loneliness.
dude. I think Sydney Sweeney is actually pretty hot. Would I want to be with her? No, because she's like a sex symbol. Like, I don't want to be with
Dude, I
anyone.
like, dude, I like turning women that didn't know they were one into a sex symbol in
There
their
you go.
environment for them, not for me. Just walk around your house happy as shit, queen, knowing you own it. Dude, that makes me happy.
When was the last time you went to a family reunion?
Mm. I was 12 years old in Colorado. That was
Okay.
a hot minute.
Did you hit on one of your cousins?
No, I had no game, no confidence, but there was absolutely a cousin that was worth hitting on.
Dude, same here. I was like, I want to say I was like 12 years old. And I was like, dude, I really hit it off with whatever the fuck her name was. And it was on the drive back, and I was like, yeah, blah blah blah. Me and her like really hit it off. And she was my mom was like, oh well, Jesse, hon, she's your cousin. You can't be with her. And I was like,
Dude,
what do
you
you
should have
mean?
dude, you should have dropped on her. Oh, that's cool, mom. But like genetics of the modern 21st century says that if I'm in a like second or even a first cousin situation, we're looking at a low probability of a birth defect. We're only dealing with your fucking judgment.
Also,
But I'm not
even
really interested in dating my cousins though.
yeah, I get it. But at the time, I couldn't understand. I was like, but she like really liked me. Like,
But she was perfect.
yeah, she was
That is
cute as
awesome.
fuck, dude.
All right.
Never seen her ever again. But
That's funny.
you
Yeah,
know,
family kept that. It kept you two apart, uh, kindling in a match.
let's see. Have you ever been to a bring your own beer wedding or a cash bar wedding?
I cannot say that I have. No, not
Good,
quite that fortunate.
good. You are class. Have you ever sat on a padded toilet seat?
I have. Didn't like it. Hated it. And Jesse, I want to thank you so much. We got less than a minute, King. My thrones are not padded toilet seats, dude. Um, it was awesome. I had a great time.
Dude, we will do this as many times as you want, and I'm so happy that you joined me.
Thank you kindly, sir. We'll put the next one on the books to at least cover health.